I can't do my work order, my job, unless I have some demand to work with. So we're going to go ahead and create a quote. So in the forms, you'll also find that there's a lot that you can maneuver around. The toolbar is consistent from form to form. There's a record for new. There's some kind of a new thing if it's transactional form, so that you can create a new record, or you can enter the value of a record and bring it up and edit it. There's save, delete, if you have any memos, a call log. These are all things that are related to the quote, and they're all available in icons across the top. So we're going to go ahead and create a new quote. Now the thing to remember here is anytime you see one of these little arrows over here, if you only know part of what you're looking for, you can click on that little arrow and it'll bring it up as a menu item. So you don't have to have everything memorized all the time throughout the system. The same function is available for the details. So if I want to create my new line here, and I remember that this is the beginning of my part number, and I can't remember what the rest of it is, then I can click on this little arrow over here, and I'll say, oh, this is what this applies to. Another thing that is very helpful from Epicor 9 is if your customer calls on the phone and they know their own part number, but they don't know yours per se, then if you enter their part number, the system maintains cross-referencing throughout the system for the suppliers and for the customers, so that you can go in and you can enter the data that the customer knows, and the system will be able to bring up what's needed. So in our case, our customer is going to want 50 boxes. That didn't work out very good. Let's go back to my other one here. I don't want 5, I want 50. There we go. And in this case, this is a manufactured part. So I'm going to go and one of the things we need to check out is actions. For most of the forms involved here, there are actions involved. And what that does is it allows you to take an action on the record that you have. You can duplicate the quote. You can close the quote. You can, in our case, we're going to go to the quote line. We're going to import manufacturing details. What manufacturing details are is the method of manufacturing in the system. Epicor does allow a method of manufacturing, meaning a bill of materials and a bill of operations associated with a revision for the part associated with the plant. So you could have a separate build plan, a separate method of manufacturing for each plant if it's necessary. You can also have alternate methods of manufacturing. So if you have a main revision, in this case I have revision A for this part, and you have other alternates, so that you have the main revision where it's built locally, but perhaps you have operations that are sent out to a subcontractor. You can have alternates, and you can select which one it is that you want to run. This is available at the quote and at the work order, and it is revision controlled throughout the system. This is what a method of manufacturing looks like in this system. I have 2 operations, and I have 2 materials. So you can see details for all of these things and adjust them in the quote if you need to. So I have my part is engineered, and I know what I want, and I look at my unit price, and I think, $250 seems a little steep. So we're going to come over to the worksheet. The worksheet in the quote allows, since this is a manufactured part, to bring in the costs available for the part for each box. We're building this in boxes. So I can see what the costs are, and I can set either a markup or a profit and define how I want to see my costs and how I want to see the total price to line up. So in our case, for this part, in order to cover commissions and everybody else, I need to charge $162.17 at a minimum. That's much better than $250. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. So now my quote is ready to go. One of the other functions in the quoting system is you can assign tasks. So if you have a workflow associated with your quoting process, you need approvals, you need to make sure documentation is available, you need to make sure that you've met certain criteria and that this is not an outlandish quote, you can set a workflow with tasks associated with it. So we're going to come in here and I'm going to say, well, yes, this is complete, and the customer is extremely happy with me. So they're going to go ahead and let me win my quote. When we come up to the summary, we see that this quote has been won, and it's ready to be converted into a sales order. The actions menu allows you to do a lot of things. In the case of the quote, there are two ways to create the sales order from the quote. One is from the push, which is what we're going to do, which means from the quote screen, I'm going to push it into a sales order. But from the sales order side, if you have internal sales representatives rather than people in the field doing, and the person in the field does the quote, and the person inside should not be able to affect the quote, but they need to be able to create a sales order. They can pull it from the sales side.